After a day of protests near and around Wits University, the independent police investigative directorate probing the death of that 35-year-old man. Police fired rubber bullets and stun grenades at students at least twice today. Now, the students say they want all deserving students to get a place. They also say the police were heavy-handed and brutal in their response, and students this evening are mulling what to do tomorrow. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila joins me now. Aviwe, tell us where you are, what you've been able to discover since we last spoke an hour ago.
So the students have converged here at Empire Road. Well, they've recently left about some 20 or so minutes ago. We'll get more details as to exactly what is happening. I'll catch up with the SASCO leadership just in a bit. But Sally, I just want you to watch earlier scenes of the police, the moment that they approached the protesting students. And at that time, let's be mindful that they were seated with their hands up. And when that chaos ensued, stun grenades followed by a hail of rubber bullets towards the students. I just want you to take a look at that quickly.
If another casualty happens, you must witness this. This is them coming to us. This is how the approach has been from the beginning.
And then we're just going to move behind the policemen now as they move closer to the students. Students, hands up in the air, showing that they're peaceful at this stage. And the police are moving forward. I'm going to try to get closer. Grenades, stun grenades, and they're firing. The police are firing. Students running away. Stunt grenade, we heard they're going off. The students are now scattered in every direction. While the police moving even a bit closer. They're at the place where they were. Police Nyala's coming closer, and Police Nyala is moving closer to the action now. Running down Empire Road at this very moment.
And you know, Aviwe, every time I watch that footage, I'm stunned at how it unfolded. You explained to me earlier that while we had line of sight on the shot of that line of blue, the police marching forward, there were in fact police officers and vehicles all the way along the sides, and it seems that the stun grenade came from the left of the screen. It seemed as well to take the police walking towards the students by surprise. But of course, at that point, the students scattered. The other thing that strikes me is the police were opening fire. Yes, it wasn't live ammunition. I would imagine it was rubber bullets. But they were surely all too mindful of the fact that when they'd opened fire earlier in the day, a man had died. Now, of course, IPID is still investigating, but early reports indicate that that man suffered as many as 3 rubber bullet wounds.
Yes, the very rubber bullets that were fired allegedly was the very rubber bullets that took the life of that 35-year-old male who was walking out from the doctor. I've spoken to some of the students that say they saw it all happen, and how the police, even after shooting him, went right above him, allegedly, from what they witnessed, saying that firing more shots. So at least we know 3 shots possibly that took the life of that 35-year-old male, those shots being rubber bullets. Similar scenes, of course, what you just saw now, the police opening fire to protesting students. I just want to get the reaction then from students, the leadership here of SASCO. Thank you for joining us at eNCA, but you were there yourself when the police opened fire. Just your reactions on that.
So we were sitting on the road, and we saw the police start to approach us. So as they were approaching us, we then told each other to put our hands up. We were shouting, "Guys, put your hands up." As we were saying, "Put your hands up," we saw one of the policemen take out a stun grenade. And as he was taking out the stun grenade, we shouted, "No, no!" But then as we were shouting, he then released it, and that's when we started to disperse, and they shot rubber bullets, and everyone started running.
I want to bring in Samkela to understand that if there could have been a better way to handle the chaotic scenes that we've seen today.
My brother, I must first bring issues of politics here. Now, we're sitting down. No, we're not saying we don't want to harm the police. We're not harming anything. We're not vandalizing anything. We're just doing a peaceful protest initially. So now, going further to that, the issue of started yesterday when police at Parktown at Medical Campus, when they first attacked us with bullets. And then we dispersed and reconvened. Today we're demonstrating, going further and say the issue that we were standing for yesterday, we are still standing for them even today. our souls are not disgruntled. We are still standing. Then that's when they attacked us, firstly at Braamfontein. Then that's when they killed that man. Now, secondly, we stand here near Wits Junction, Wits entrance here in Empire. They still killed us. They still shot at us and pulled a stun grenade. Now, going further, we are saying we want Zebulon to come further and account. The university must account for that person that passed away. The university must not put the responsibility to SAPS because we are disgruntled because of that, financially including us.
What then is going to happen going forward? Masa, I'm going to bring you in back, Snalo, to understand the plans. You were converging here. What has been discussed and what's the way forward?
Well, here we were discussing that we're going to meet tonight and hold a night vigil for the man that was shot in Braamfontein. And after that, we are planning to sit again and plan the way forward for tomorrow.
There was also indication from a SALS statement that there may be further national shutdowns from the 13th if they do not adhere to those 15 demands from SALS. Your plans from SASCO?
SASCO National has taken us out a statement that we're distancing ourselves from the ANC, and we are going to have an emergency NGC where we are going to discuss whether we still part of the MDM structures or not. Because we can't be fighting year out and year out, and even civilians passed away because of we are fighting for free education. So we can't continue this way. Even Braden's demand must come in account.
What does distancing yourself from the ANC mean?
The distancing ourselves from ANC, we are saying when we are going to local government elections or we are going to elections, we are not going to support people that do not support us and hear our cries. Because they are the ANC, it's the ANC that is leading us. It's the ANC government that is financially feeding us. Blade came forward and said, no, the NSR doesn't have budget. They are going to defund LLB students. Where do we then supposed to get the money to finish our studies? And we can't be rallying behind the banner of the ANC when they are saying they're not going to assist us financially for our studies. And you must understand that education plays a key role. Education liberates us as black students who come from rural areas and who come from townships. It's the NFSAS that they are saying doesn't have budget to find new students. So our cries are genuine, and we are saying Blade must come in account. Because if it came yesterday when they first shot us, that person that died there could not have died.
Thank you very much. SASCO leadership, Samkele Sikam, as well as Sinalo Mafanyana from SASCO at Wits, sharing some interesting sentiments around the incidents that we saw, also highlighting that SASCO is now took out a statement distancing itself from the ANC. So going into the local government elections, they'll ask their members not to vote for the ANC. A similar statement that we heard from COSATU, its alliance partner, saying that they're considering dumping the ANC going into the local government elections.
Abiwa, I just want to ask you the same question again. When that line of policemen was walking towards the students who were seated on Empire Road, did anyone from the police, either in that line or in the surrounding areas, warn the students that they should disperse or they would use stun grenades on them? Was there any warning from the police that you heard?
Sadly, there was no warning at all from the police. I remember 5 minutes prior to that, I was speaking to Shahan, where he was asking where are the police when the students are burning tires and just scattering rocks all over the road, turning cars around. At that point, there weren't any police. So they came some 5 minutes later on, Shahan, Sally, and we were still taking it live. I remember speaking to the deputy president of the SRC at Wits. Even she was mentioning how they were just approaching with the shotguns riddled with a bullet, beg your pardon, those rubber bullets. So they were just approaching. There was no official question or posing or just talking to the students and asking them to disperse. But what we then saw is a stun grenade thrown to the students, followed by a litter of rubber bullets, essentially. So there was no communication whatsoever. It's something that we saw ourselves while we were taking it live at the eNCA.
Yeah, and that's interesting, Abiwa, because that is exactly what Nkosazana Dabuzane has told us about what happened earlier in the day when the incident unfolded that ultimately led to the death of that 35-year-old man. She, too, did not hear any warning given by the police before they resorted to using stun grenades and rubber bullets. Avi Wentele, you're going to keep on that story and bring us more news as it comes to us. Thank you very much for all your reporting today. And of course, you may be asking, what about the other side of the story? It's certainly something we have been trying to follow all day. We have reached out to the police ministry, and what they have told us is that they're not going to comment until after IPID wraps up its investigations. Of course, we had a lot more to talk about beyond the death of that 35-year-old man. We want to ask, for example, why no warning was given before police decided to open fire with rubber bullets and stun grenades. Why did they not choose safer, less invasive ways of trying to move those students away from an area where they shouldn't be? But the police ministry is saying they will not speak to us until after that IPID report. Also, we have reached out to the Higher Education Department, and we did have Dr. Thandi Leeuwen, who's the Deputy DG of Universities in the higher education, set up to talk to us, and I was going to ask her for her response to what happened today, if they had concerns for the students who, after all, they represent and must look after, about the way they were treated at the hands of police. But just a few moments ago, we were told that Dr. Thandi Leeuwen, the Deputy DG of Universities and Higher Education, would not be joining us, and we were told that because of the reason is because tomorrow Higher Education is going to be holding a briefing on that. So let's hope we do find out what police and what the Department of Higher Education feels about all of this and how we can prevent such violence on our streets.